Welcome to this episode of Kennedy Saves the World. So it is cuffing season, and you're interested in a holiday, but you don't know how to go about it. Maybe your Jeff Gordon year has not been full of roses when it comes to your romantic life. Well, we are here to save your world. I have enlisted the help of Monique Kelley. She is a dating expert. She has a YouTube show and a podcast called Cocktails and Confessions, and she will break down whatever you need to do, how to get everything right, what to look for, how to spot red flags for your holiday. Monique Kelley, welcome to Kennedy Saves the World.
Thank you so much for having me. I like to say we want to save the world one date at a time.
That's absolutely right. We don't need to we don't need to put too much pressure on it. We don't need everyone to get married and get pregnant in one night. That's a big ask. You just want to have a little bit of fun, a little bit of companionship. But for some people, it's an uphill battle. So, what are some things you can tell people to set them at ease? Because there is so much pressure and so much anxiety in December around holidating.
Oh, especially around this time of year. I always love to tell singles, you have to manage your expectations. We have this strange thing where we think because it's the holidays, suddenly, magically, everything just falls into place, and you put these unnecessary expectations of, I have to meet someone, I have to bring them to my company holiday party, I want to bring them to my family's house. And that's not fair to you or your potential boo.
I love the way you say that. You or your potential boo. It's sweet.
Exactly.
It's optimistic. So if people do you have people who were still trying not to engage with dating apps, who just want to go out and, fight the good fight in the flesh?
You know what's interesting? People are now having what I call dating app fatigue because during the pandemic, as singles, that was pretty much the only way you could date. So a lot of singles who weren't normally on dating apps got on them, and some of them ended up getting what I would say addicted to dating apps, and they forgot about organic dating. So now a lot of singles are going back to organic dating, where you're going out, meeting people, whether it's at the grocery store, whether you're telling friends to set you up, whether you're going to high school reunions, and they're doing it in addition to dating apps. They want that face to face connection. So people are starting to go back to the good old school organic dating.
But there's something about that, and it's like there's no one right way to meet a person, especially if you've had a hard time on dating apps. So let's break it down for people who do have dating app fatigue, who feel like they haven't been putting themselves out there right, or maybe their profile is fantastic. Maybe their pictures are super cute, but they just keep attracting the same kind of person. What are a couple of tweaks that people can make?
Okay, I love this question, Kennedy, because the first thing I love to tell people, your dating journey is customized. You could have a friend that gets on a dating app, they meet their man, a week later, they're engaged, 6 months later, you've been on dating apps for 3 years, and you're like, hello, what am I doing wrong? Or you have someone who meets someone at the grocery store, now they're in a serious relationship, you've been going to that same grocery store, and you haven't met anybody. So you have to remember your dating journey is customized. And just because it's not going the way you want it or at the speed that you want it, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing anything wrong. It just means that it's not particularly your time right now. So don't get disheartened when things don't work out as quickly as you want it to, but you have to still keep up the good fight, as you had just said, because it just takes that one person. And the moment that you become cynical, bitter, or start blaming yourself, that's when things can get tricky.
And that's also when you start looking for the worst in other people. That's also when you're like, I'm so bad at this, and you beat yourself up. And then when you go out on a date, that's when you are at your least attractive, because you're looking for more bad things to happen. And,
Yes.
I'm not a big believer in The Secret, but there is something to be said about looking for things. And if you're talking so negatively to yourself and beating yourself up, then that's all you're going to look for, is confirmation that your self-berating was spot on. But
Absolutely.
and it's like you have to turn around. So how do you tell people how to change their mindset? Because I think that's so much of it. And it's like, being happy, being settled is one of the most attractive qualities, but how do you achieve that?
It's hard, especially when you are single of a particular age, seasoned singles, 40 plus, you've had so much baggage, so much disappointed, and you would get tired. But you have to prevent yourself from doing what I call pick me dating or last chance at love dating, where you meet someone and you're so worried this is your last chance that you latch on to somebody who might not necessarily be right for you, or you're trying to do everything perfectly so that you can get this person, right?
Hmm.
So I always talk to people about, with dating, there is one common denominator, and that is you. So you have to, at certain points, look in the mirror, have self reflection. It's not about beating yourself up, like I said earlier. It's not about saying you're doing something wrong, but it's about saying, okay, what can I learn from this situation so I don't bring it into the next situation?
Yes.
Some singles are choosing, I mean, not all, don't come for me in the comments, but some singles are choosing abstinence or celibacy, are waiting before they take that next move. Some singles are expanding their dating radius. Maybe they realize, the guys in my town, the guys in LA, they're whack. Maybe I need to expand it out and be willing to start long distance dating. It's not something that I long for, but if it means I might meet someone, maybe I expand my dating range. Some people are choosing to meet people instead of dating apps. Social media, Kennedy, has become like the new way to meet people. People
Interesting.
are going into inboxes. They see you have familiar friends or friends in comments that are asking their friends, what about this guy?
Hmm.
What about this young lady? So, people are looking at new ways of dating. Facebook pages are another way. It's different Facebook groups. There are, Facebook groups that are for common interests. So they're expanding their ways of dating so that they don't get stuck in the same routine, and they also have more confidence and more hope and optimism as it pertains to dating.
Okay, I want to ask you about this because there was a grocery store in a town in Spain
Ooh.
where singles were pushing their grocery carts like down the bread aisle between 7 and 8 p.m. on Thursdays. And if they had a pineapple in their cart, it meant they were open for some kind of a connection. Are you seeing more of that? And how do you
You
do that
know,
without that being completely awkward if someone is into it and the other person's like, oh, hell no, 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 no. I'd rather be
now,
alone
Kennedy,
forever.
I saw this. The first thing is we might want to change the fruit. Pineapple can be a little tricky. It
Swingers!
signals some.
Pineapple is
Yeah.
for swingers! That's what I thought when I saw that. The universal symbol for swingers is an upside down pineapple.
I was like, maybe we need to change it to an apple or a peach, okay, or a mango. But that's a sidebar. But,
Definitely a
but I
peach if you've had a BBL.
oh, that's a thought too. You
I
would
have a
do a
stamp
peach
of approval for that.
or watermelons if you've had breast enhancement. I mean, we can
Why
change
wouldn't
it up.
you? Cantaloupes, watermelons, it's truth in advertising, frankly.
Oh my God, I love that. We talk about being open and honest.
Yes.
But I love that idea. I love that singles are finding new ways to connect with each other. Back in the day, people did a lot of speed dating. That was kind of popular, in the early 2000s. But now people are looking at ways to expand, meeting people. Running clubs, people are doing running clubs
Hmm.
where they meet people there. I tell people, again, seasoned singles of a particular age, go to your homecomings, go to your high school reunions. A majority of those people that you went to school with are now divorced.
And some of them are absolutely psychotic. So
Exactly.
you've been forewarned.
That is true too, but at least you have school in common.
Don't go anywhere. More Kennedy Saves the World right after this.
I know a lot of people who met up with someone that they had a crush on in high school, and you probably have had similar experiences, and you probably
Yeah.
had like great expectations, and you were disappointed, and you were in it for the right reasons, and for whatever reason, for a lot of people, it didn't work out. And also, the people that you grew up with are kind of pre-vetted. Like
Yes.
you probably knew them in their awkward, ugly phase, and now getting to know someone as like flourishing adults. This was one of my favorite stories. At my high school reunion, there was they were both kind of nerdy in high school, and one became kind of a soft core porn actor, And the other, I don't know what she did, but she had like a ridiculous glow up where she showed up super hot and they hooked up at our high school graduation. And it was like the best, most satisfying thing ever. Like, I wish
See
I
what
had
I
stayed with
mean?
and touched them. So, like, because I wrote the ending to my own personal movie. I don't even know if they're talking anymore, but at least they were for that night, which was just amazing. So you were right about that. And then I went and shot at a place called Grit Boxing here in New York City. And so
Ooh.
it's a boxing class, but you also do treadmill and weights. But they have a happy hour after the night classes. So you go and they have a bar there. So it's like a workout, like detox retox situation. And they're like, and they said like people should pay us commission because we've been responsible for so many engagements and weddings. And so it's
See
like,
what I mean?
yes, you see someone who's like physically active, doing what you want to do. You can see what they look like when they're sweaty with, no makeup, no extensions. Like you can see exactly what you're working with. And I'm talking about the guys and their penis extensions. No, I'm just kidding. But you
The
can,
gray sweatpants.
yes. So you can see what you are working with. And you also see that someone is motivated. They want to try something challenging. They also like having a good time. So they'll have a margarita after class. So there are ways to go out and meet people. And then I have another friend he's a guy and he does yoga because he hurt his back. But then he realized that there are so many single women there, but he can't start dating them because he knows if he dates more than one person in the
Yes.
yoga studio, he's going to get a bad reputation. He won't be able to go back there.
Exactly. It's kind of like you don't, poop where you sleep.
Mm-mm.
But there's a theme to what you're saying, and this is something that is growing as well. Meeting someone where you work out is the best for all the reasons you just listed, but it also gives you a chance to build rapport with someone. You get to know someone and become like gym buddies, gym friends, and then eventually you guys can take it up to that next level. So it takes that pressure off of you that you might have at a bar when you see someone, you're like, I have to hurry up and approach them before we leave the bar. So
Mhm.
that's a good theme you just brought up for
When
sure.
when people have one night stands, when they get hammered at a bar at the end of the night and just go home with whoever's left, do those relationships ever work out?
Okay, so let's talk about this. I love this question, Kennedy, because here is the thing. I always say when it comes to one night stands or sleeping with someone too soon, what happens a lot of the time for women per se, you freak out afterwards. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe this. You start over explaining yourself. You start changing your actions. You become just too needy or too distant. Like you don't know how to act because you're freaked out because you have slept with the person too soon in
Hmm.
your mind frame. And the guy might not even necessarily be tripping. A lot of times, guys are not thinking about it in that same sense as some women do. So if you choose to have a one night stand, I don't recommend it, but if it happens, it happened. Don't over explain yourself and still see where the relationship will go. But don't be surprised if it doesn't go anywhere. You have to that's a gamble there. That's a gamble. So you just gotta have to play your cards with that.
But it can't work out. So that's what you're saying. So
Yeah.
oftentimes it is
Yep.
someone's guilt that
Yes.
that kind of allows them to overreact. And when you overreact, you're not acting naturally. Like you're not being yourself
Exactly.
at all. So if you just calm down a little bit and stay in the moment, you may have been attracted to someone who would make a perfectly good partner, even though you were a total hose bag
Yeah.
at the end of the night.
Exactly. And it happens. You know what I'm saying? Some people have that magnetic chemistry and it happens. So it's not necessarily a deal breaker, but just be aware of how you approach it moving forward.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
that's a perfectly good point. And
Yeah.
yeah, and so much of it is especially women, like we freak out and get in our own heads. And,
Totally.
we think that the guy is overthinking everything. And he's like, oh, these sheets feel nice. Oh, this is a nice feeling. It's very soft. We're like, oh my God, he's going to tell all of his friends I'm a whore.
And he's not even thinking about it like that. And you're like, oh God, should I call him? He didn't call me back 5 minutes after I left his house. It's over. Like you get in your head.
Mhm.
It's just, it happens. I mean, you could still get in your head if you've been dating someone for a few months and you take it to the next level the next day. It's a natural thing.
Mhm.
So you just got to keep your pattern the same and stay present.
Okay, so Monique Kelley, Cocktails and Confessions. Last question. If someone is going to
Okay.
do a minor tweak, what is like a guaranteed symbol of dating success that someone can add to their profile or profile pic that will help attract people on a dating app?
Oh, I love that. Okay. I always say think about things that are important to you. A lot of times when we're setting up our profile, you're thinking about what's going to attract someone instead of things that are important to you. So, an example, if you like traveling, post pictures of you looking good, of course, in different places around the world are your favorite spots. If you like to cook, if you like food, post pictures where you're at places where you enjoy or doing things that you like to do. That tells someone a lot about yourself, and then you're going to hopefully attract someone who likes the same things without being too thirsty or being too obvious.
I love it. Monique, you're so positive and non-judgmental, and I can only imagine how many people you have helped. And I want everyone to go listen to your podcast and check out your YouTube videos. Monique Kelley, Kelley, Cocktails and Confessions. I hope to talk to you again, my dear.
Absolutely. This was a blast.
Yes, and it will save people's holiday world. This has been Kennedy Saves the World, along with Monique Kelley. I'm Kennedy. Thank you, Monique. That was amazing.
Listen ad-free with the Fox News Podcast Plus subscription on Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Prime members can listen to this show ad-free on the Amazon Music app.
Oh, go ahead and leave me a review while you're there. I'd love to hear what you have to say. You've been listening to Kennedy Saves the World on the Fox News Podcast Network.